Youth of today. Youth of today.
The President of the Republic.
But if that woman wins this election to become president, you and many others will surely go to jail.
She is our choice.
I want to save our country. We're not under a woman.
Do you know that the minister can throw you into the dungeon without you even committing a crime?
No amount of distractions from the minister will stop us.
Let us accept the fact that we are poor, because even we don't vote for them, they will still get into power.
Una make use of una voting right. Now una right. The only place where una fit bring change for this country, now for use that vote where you get us. So
Africans is not part of the European Union.
thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in. Yes, that is true. Africans is not part of the European Union, but North Rhine-Westphalia, Germany, and Cologne in Germany is part of the European Union. Today, we are having a conversation with our politicians, and especially our African politicians, and I choose to show you a short part of the film that came up last year, produced by my humble self, Africans, with the intention to support young people and especially women to understand the importance of civic responsibilities. Some years back, many years today, we are having a historian who is in the house and definitely will talk about the history and of voting. Many years back, people had to share their blood so that we can enjoy and have the privilege of voting. So, ladies and gentlemen, voting is a civic responsibility, and that's why today we are talking about the political scenarios and elections that will be coming up on the 13th of September 2020 in North Rhine-Westphalia. And it is amazing that many of our African brothers and sisters are really doing well in North Rhine-Westphalia, and they are part of the community and the local election board. So I'm sure that you're going to like the conversation today. For those who have been watching our program every Sunday, it has always been a business conversation with our different business partners, but today we choose, because of the importance of the elections coming up in the North Rhine-Westphalia on the 13th of September, we have chosen to dedicate this day also to our African politicians, those who give in for the local government and those who volunteer without any looking back, selflessly for the community. Today, ladies and gentlemen, welcome with me on board Dr. Akude Emeka, who is from the Klima Fund. And also we have another dynamic woman, Dr. Jerry. Both of them are academicians. Today is a special conversation. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. How are you today?
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me to your program.
It's a privilege to have you, and I'm going to start with you, Dr. Jerry. The people want to know, who are you, what you do, why are you wanting to vote, what motivates you to spend so much time, many hours giving to the community. This is your platform.
So thank you very much for inviting us and for having us in your show. So my name is Rahab Jerry. I was born in Kenya. I have stayed here in Cologne for a very long time. I went here to school. I studied here at the University of Cologne. And I just finished my doctoral thesis at the University of Trier, which I defended a few weeks ago. And I'm a historian, and I specialize on post-colonial studies, gender studies, in particular Africana womanism, Black feminism. I also do a lot on questions of race and racism, the representation of Black people, and also the history behind it. I am also doing, together with Dr. John Akude, so I might maybe do some advertisement here. We are also doing coaching on diversity and inclusion, because we think this is something that it's very important, not only for white viewers or for white companies, but also for us ourselves as a community. So I am a historian, as I said, and I am very much interested in our history. I'm very much passionate about the history of Black women in particular, because I just feel and have my opinion is that the revolution will be carried by Black women. We have done that through history, and that history I think is going to continue, and will still continue it even generations to come. So I'm very much motivated by one of my heroes, who is Wangari Maathai, because I think she's an exceptional woman, and I think she quite well, defined or put together the question of environmental racism, environmental justice, and social justice, and this is something that interests me a lot. So I am running for Wahlbezirk Ehrenfeld, which is 21, and I am with Klimafreunde. I haven't been with Klimafreunde for a very long time. But I was introduced by my former professor, Dr. John Akude. So thank you very much once again, who brought me to Klimafreunde, because we understand that in Klimafreunde, we definitely have a space as a Black community, as Black people, to be able to change the history of the city of Cologne, because we are part of this city. So he introduced me to Klimafreunde, and I'm very thankful for that. I've always wanted to do politics, but I do not consider myself to be a politician. I consider myself to be more of a community activist, which I think is important, not only for for me as a Black woman, but I think for us as a whole, as a Black community living in Cologne and in Germany at large, that we are that community activism is where we can actually start discussing our problems and making changes. So I have a hashtag that I'm just using, which is if you want change, be the change. And that's why I decided, to be part of the candidate, because it's important that we also address some of the issues that we as a Black community have, and issues that nobody wants to listen to. And I think as a new generation of Black people living in Germany, I think we have possibilities. And it's very important that we also acknowledge the fact that I'm not standing alone. I'm standing on the shoulders of so many, especially Black women, especially Kenyan women in this city. These are my aunties, these are my mothers, these are my aunt, my nieces, and my nephews. And so I'm very thankful for that there's a community behind. And it's important that they also know that, we can also be able to make a change, because they have made those changes already for us. And that's why I'm here, because if it wasn't for their hard work, then I will not be standing here. So I'm very thankful for all these women whom nobody mentions and who nobody talks about. They might not be in history books, but I do acknowledge them, and I do say thank you, because I'm standing on their shoulders.
Thank you very much, ma'am. That was explicit, and so many questions will come up because of your presentation. And before we get into the conversation, I will also want, of course, Dr. Akude to introduce himself. Dr. Akude, of course, the people also want to know who you are, what you do, why do you invest so much time in volunteerism for the community, and why do you want to go into the Stadtrat? This is your platform, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Afro-Cans, once again for this invitation. John Emeka Akude is my name. I come originally from Nigeria. That's where I was born, and that's where I was raised. And I also studied in Nigeria. I did a political science at the University of Nigeria in Nsukka. That was a bachelor's degree level. Then I did international relations at the University of Ife at master's degree level. Then I came to Germany. I did my PhD in political science and international relations here at the University of Cologne. I specialized in international political economy and development policy, politics of development and underdevelopment. So this is who I am, academically. I've also have some working experience here in Germany. At the moment, I am working as a consultant for security, for investment and development in Africa. And what I do there is, if the moral basis are there, if the moral basis are present, I cooperate with German companies to look for solutions to African problems, that will also, boost the business of, the cooperating partners in Germany and in Africa. Before then, I was lecturing at the University of Aachen, Department of Political Science. I was lecturing in development policy and the African states. And before I joined Aachen, I was also a senior researcher at the German Development Institute in Bonn. Worked a couple of years there. I researched on knowledge management for development, which is an area that really traverses across all the dimensions of development studies. Before then, I worked as an advisor to the German Federal Ministry for Economic Cooperation and Development, it's also in Bonn. And before then, I was a lecturer at the Institute of African Studies at University of Cologne, and that's where I met Jerry. She was my student at the time. Could have been 2009 or 2010 if I remember very well. Before going to the Institute of African Studies, I was at the Institute of Political Science and European Question, also at the University of Cologne, and that's where I did my PhD and also lectured a couple of years, and also worked as a researcher. And my area of research is most especially the relationship between, let me put it like this, the impact of international political economy on democracy and conflicts in the developing countries, then exemplified in Africa, that is empirical studies on Africa. So that is my who I am, in the area of our experience. Now, why am I contesting? I have several reasons for contesting. You see, you rightly pointed out that this is a voluntary service, where you spend a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of energy, and you don't get much back. That is, you don't get paid. For example, this is you do this for the fun of it, for the passion you have for public service. And I happen to grow up in a family, and also have met some teachers and lecturers, professors, in my life, who have tried to stress the importance of public service. My grandfather was a chief. My father was also in politics and in community politics and in community service. So I grew up doing these things. I remember also when I was studying at the University of Nigeria in Nsukka, our professor in those days, Professor Okudiban Nali, started a program, he called environmental cleaning. Every Saturday, first Saturday of the month, students who will volunteer to, join him to go and clean the dirtiest places in the town. The places where the municipal refuse disposal service could not clean. We go as university students to do that in those days. For nothing, we don't get paid. The authorities will even only get to know later that we are the ones that did it. So what I'm saying is I grew up in an environment of community service, and I just have it in me. Another thing is that in the past few years, I have not been happy with the way the German government has been run. I think that the government has been very, very kind of backward instead of backward looking, instead of forward looking. There are about three fundamental issues, issues that are very important to me, and I think are very important to the world at the time, that should be taken very seriously. And I don't see these issues being taken as seriously as they should. Number one is the climate change issue. Everybody knows that the climate is changing. Everybody knows that the earth is getting warmer with terrible consequences, and we are seeing these consequences every day. With the depletion of biodiversity, depletion of glaciers, a lot of things are happening, and we see these things happen, and the scientists have giving us the remedies to all these things. In fact, to all these problems, there are a series of remedies we could apply, but governments have not been doing this, especially the German government. And there's something we forgot. We always like to forget here in Germany, that when Angela Merkel came up, I think it was 2005 or so, by 2006, 2007, she was being acclaimed everywhere as the climate chancellor, because she proved in a lot of ways that she wanted to take the climate issue very seriously. And then I think around 2008, we had the global financial crash, and because of that, she just took all the climate policies back, and then has been implementing policies just for the private economy, for the big concerns up till now. And this has even thrown the German economy backwards, because in areas of digitalization, for example, education, Germany is already beginning to lag behind. So these are the things that motivated me. Another thing is that this government have been following neoliberal policies. For example, the issue of Schwarzenegger, trying to balance the budget. They've been balancing the budget for years now, but the issue with balancing the budget, or the other side of balancing the budget, is that investments in the future have been neglected. Investments in education, investments in research and development, investments in innovation, investments in digitalization, and these things that the German economy is beginning to as I said, suffer on those things. And so the following this neoliberal policies have also led to a kind of broadening the gap between the rich and the poor. This broadening of the gap between the rich and the poor is leading to political problems here and there. A lot of demonstrations going on. People are getting
Dr.
angry.
Akunde, I just hardly like to stop, but I think that you're going to give all these informations in the next round that is coming.
Okay.
So you don't have to worry yourself. I think you have the whole evening for yourself. And the people are already asking. You are having some great comments coming up. Before we continue, let us welcome some of the people who are here. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. We are in the Global TV, Sompon Global TV YouTube page, and then we're also live on Sompon Social Service Facebook page. And thank you for tuning in. We are here because we want to support African brothers and sisters who are candidating in the North Rhine-Westphalen, especially on the 13th of September 2020. Please go to vote for your people, especially those who are in the North Rhine-Westphalen. And thank you, Maury Okeyo, for being always here. I love listening to your conversations, especially politics. I'm coming in to support our people. Thank you for being here, Maury. And then we also want to appreciate Zhao Sadi Khan. I will. You all in your dream come true. I wish you all that your dream comes true. So that's good wishes for you people. Then we have also someone say that was a nice presentation, Dr. Jerry. Then we have also another one just telling Dr. Akude just as he finished, Prissy Warimo, you're welcome. And she's saying great presentations. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in. This is your platform, a space where we entertain one another, we inform, we inspire, and of course, we help one another to transform and to become agents for change. If we want to change, then if we desire a change, we better be the change, just like Dr. Jerry just said. So this takes me to my question today, ladies and gentlemen, and I want to address the first question to Dr. Akude. Please, Dr. Akude, explain to us the different elections coming up in the North Rhine-Westphalia, because I know that in the North Rhine-Westphalia there are different elections coming up, and I am afraid that our people may not know the difference that is there, and then we can create some kind of confusion. So please explain to us what are the different in very short words, so that we get to go right deep into the more important questions. Your platform, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, moderator, for this very important question. Fundamentally, there will be two elections on the 13th of September. So these two elections, so you have about two sheets. You will be voting for two different things. This is the fundamental thing you need to understand. There are two elections. One election is called the communal violence. That is the communal elections. And the other one is called the integrations rat. That is the integrations council, which deals specifically with integration matters for non-Germans. So if for you to contest there, you have to have a migrations background, as they say. So this is one thing you need to understand. There are two elections. One is communal election, and the other one is the integrations rat. So for you to qualify for the elections, you have to be 16 years of age or more. You must have lived for about 1 year in Deutschland, for at least 1 year in Deutschland, in Germany. Sorry. And to participate in these Cologne elections, you must have been living in Cologne since the 18th of August 2020. So since about 12 days ago, so that is you need to have lived in Cologne for 1 month, for you to take part in this election. So these are the three basic things. And another, just to put it in a straight line so you know what to do. What I believe is that if you are qualified to vote, and everybody is qualified to vote, for the communal, for the integrations rat, for the communal election, you are qualified to vote if you have a European Union passport. So that for the integrations rat, it doesn't matter what kind of passport you have, you're qualified to vote. The only thing that disqualifies you to vote is if you have what they call dualdom, then you're disqualified. So again, to put it straight, I know you must have received the letter. If you're qualified to vote, you must have received the letter, or you will receive a letter from the electoral authorities in your area.
So he's just shut down. We're going to continue with the conversation. Can you hear me, Dr. Jerry?
Yes.
Good. We can continue with the conversation while waiting for Dr. Akude. Something just went wrong with his internet, surely. Dr. Jerry, please tell us exactly step by step how we can vote, how the people can vote for the different elections. What are they to do precisely?
Thank you for the question. I think there's a lot of confusion within our own communities about the elections. Because you're getting one letter after the other. So you kind of get confused because you don't know what all those letters means. But as Akude said, the first one would be the Kommunalwahl, which is what me and Dr. Akude are running for. And the other one would be the Integrationsrat, which is and has to stay in Germany, can get on vote. So he's back.
Yeah, thank you very much, Jerry. Thank you very much. It was my mistake. I forgot to plug my laptop. So,
okay.
the battery was low, so it just went off. I'm very sorry. So going back to where we were, so you must have received this letters from the Electoral Commission, telling you there's an election on the 13th of September and that you should go and vote. And in these letters, where you have your certificate to vote, you will also receive information of where you go to vote in the closest place in your area. There are schools or public buildings or whatever. It will tell you specifically where your voting, where your polling booth is. Where you go to vote. So on that day, you make out time. You go there. You register. They will give you then basically 2 papers. So one is for this communal election, and the other one is for the integrations rat. So then you take your time and go through the names of the parties and their or the electoral groups and with their candidates. So you go through all the names, select the one you want to vote for, and then you cross it. And then you fold the paper, then you go to the second paper, you open it, for the integrations rat, you go through the list, select the one you want to vote, cross it, and throw them in. So that is it. If you don't have time on that day, vote before. A lot of people have already voted by now, and some people are voting as we are talking now. There's what they call brief val, that is voting by voting through the post. So you can send in your votes through the post office. So I think that is the whole thing in a nutshell for now. Yeah, thanks. Or maybe Jerry will want to expatiate on 1 or 2 areas, because I see you holding up a specimen of the ballot paper.
Yes, Jerry, I asked Jerry to do exactly and explain exactly step by step, because I had a conversation today with some people, and they were like, "Oh, I will not vote on that day because I will be working." So it dawned in my mind that some people really did not know that they can go and vote, or they can send their voting even before that day. So Jerry, maybe you expatiate on that a little. Thank you.
Thank you. So I think it's also important to mention that also Germans who have been eingebürgert, or who have gotten the citizenship and who had another nationality before, can also go and vote for the Integrationswahl, and they can also vote for the Kommunalwahl. I think this is very important. And the other thing is that for the Kommunalwahl, people who are already 16 years old, they can also go and vote. And I think for the Integrationswahl, which I don't know if you can see this, but I think most people got this letter. And so someone like me got 2 letters. So I got the one for Kommunalwahl and I got the one for Integrationswahl. And a lot of people are confused because they think I have to choose one and leave the other one. That's not the case. You can vote for both of them. And it's very important that you also vote for the Integrationswahl, because although me and John and Dr. Akude, we are not on Integrationswahl, but it's still important that you go and do, because if you don't, other people who you might not want to have an Integrationswahl are the ones who are going to, decide on the politics that is going to happen within the city of Cologne. So it's very important that also people be aware that that Integrationswahl is also important, because, those ones who will be chosen will be representing them and their voices in some of the cases that they have to. And me and John Akude, which would be historical, if we got in, and especially for Dr. John Akude, if he got to Stadtrat, these are the same people that you'll be working with, because we need to, we need to focus on what we as a Black community want to happen, the changes that we want to happen here in Cologne. So for both elections, it's very important that our community understand that it's not an either or, but it's more of that, you have to, we have to work together. And the other thing that I think is very important to mention is that Klimafreunde and Integrationsrat, we are not competing. We are not enemies. I think this is very important to mention, because a lot of people are also getting confused on this. Like a lot of times when it comes to, politics, and even community activism is politics, then there kind of comes a situation, or people start thinking, oh, so who are we supposed to vote for? That's not our case. Me and John Akude are not in Integrationswahl. There are people who are competing for Integrationswahl, and they should also be supported. So I don't know how many we have this year, but I know of, I think you also interviewed them. I know of Bundesviert in Africa. I know of Afro Cologne. Please correct me, Dr. Kudi, if I'm wrong. Afro Köln, or Afro Köln. There is also Linke International. So there's so many, and you just have to make sure that you choose people who are going to represent you, or people who are going to represent us. Exactly. And so it's very important that we know that, there's a difference between Klimafreunde, what we are doing as community activism. And by the way, we are not a political party. We are community activists. So that also separates us from other, from other, maybe the Grünen or the SPD, or from other political parties that are going to are campaigning right now for the Kommunalwahl. We are not a political party. We are community activists who believe that everybody in this city has a right to be involved in what is happening around them, because politics begins at your doorstep. Politics begins at your workplace. It begins at the kindergarten where you have to take your kids. It begins at the university that you have to go to or you have to teach. It begins at our children having to go to look for Ausbildung. It begins when you have to go to the hospital. So all that is community activism, which of course becomes political, because if you think about, that politics is, it's not just me going there and having a banner and saying, hey, I'm a politics, but the kind of changes that we want can be interpreted or are interpreted into politics. So that's very important. And for me, as a Black woman, it's very important that I stress the fact that we should all work together as a community. As a follower of Africana womanism, I believe in the wholeness of all of us. And that's why I said it's very important for me in the beginning to acknowledge the fact that I stand on the shoulders of many women who've been here before me, and of those who will also come after me. But to acknowledge them and to say, I am here because they are, because I do not stand alone, right? And that's very important, that even when we get into the Stadtrat, and even those who will get into Integrationswahl, that it's possible to work with each other, because we're not supposed to be working individually. We should work together as a community of people of African descent living in Germany, or people of African descent living in Cologne. And I think that's a very important thing to say, so that there's no this thing of competition where, the Black community is again divided between who do we choose, who do we not choose. And again, coming back to the money thing, me and Dr. Akude are not going to get rich by winning the Kommunalwahl. So I think this is also very important, because we will still have to go back to our regular jobs. We will not be, we will not start driving big cars. Neither are we going to be buying houses.
If I may chip in here, you get paid for, we will get paid 41 euros for every 1 hour. 1 hour sitting. Yeah, you get 41 euros for 1 hour sitting, and you have 2 hours sittings about 2 to 3 times in a month. Sorry, so you should be talking about maybe 82 times 2 euros, or maybe 82 times 3 euros. That's what you get in a month. So so just to tell you, so it's not about the money.
I like this transparency. I like this transparency. This is what fascinates me with the African politicians in the North Rhine-Westphalen. But ladies and gentlemen, we are coming in. Let's have a very short break, a 30 seconds break, and we are tuning in again. You're welcome. This is the Sampon Global TV. We're here to inspire one another. We have a short break of 30 seconds, and we are back again. So thank you for coming back, and thank all our listeners who are doing an amazing job out there and also sending all questions we have from Jerry. Also, your name is saying Dr. Jerry, who is saying all the best to you all. And then this takes me to my next question. It could be Dr. Akude or Dr. Jerry to answer the question: why should the people vote you? What will change with your presence in the parliament? Let me ask the question directly to Dr. Jerry, because the whole time you have been talking about womanism and Africanism and historism and all the zim and activism. I am so curious to know what will change, what will be your impact in your community, and why should people vote for you?
So thank you for this question. So for me, I think what is very important for me is that to make Black women, first of all, visible. As I mentioned before, it's important that we acknowledge the African women who live in this city because they have done a lot. And, and their work and their efforts should not just be for nothing. And also, it's a way of making sure that, Black women are also involved into politics. And that community politics is what uplifts the whole community. Community politics is where we educate ourselves, is where we educate our children, is where we teach our children the in the kind of environment that they live. It's where we uplift and empower ourselves and also our children. So I think it's very important that we learn that. And choosing me or voting for me would mean that, first of all, we'll have Black women sitting somewhere where decisions are being made. It's important for us as Black people, and especially as a Black community in Cologne, that we are also part of the decision of those who are making the decisions. We want to sit at that table. We want to be part of those people who are, baking the cake and they're putting all the ingredients together. So we want to be part of that because that's the only way we are going to be able to put the Black agenda, African agenda, and the African problems, and really turn what is sometimes personal into politics, right? So because we have a lot of problems, not only in Cologne, but in the whole of Germany concerning African people. First of all, we are invisible everywhere. And I think if some of the listeners went to the demonstration on the 6th of June, where we have the Black Lives Matters, even me myself, I was very shocked to see so many Black people at the same time in one spot, especially here in Cologne. So, and that really made me realize that, we are so many of us, yet at the same time, we are very invisible. We are invisible in all important institutions. We are invisible at the universities. We are invisible at the banks. We are invisible at, institutions such as a job center, Arbeitsamt. Stadt Köln itself does not hire Black people. So what I want is that we should be represented in all these sectors because we are also part of this city. We have the right to stand and we have the right to be sitting on those chairs and we have the right to be making the right decisions for our community. We have to be able to case for the problems that our communities have, which most of the times nobody talks about. And I would also urge even those ones who are in Integrationsrat, when they are chosen, that they should really make sure that our voices are heard. Because, everybody talks about integration, but integration has never been about the Black community because we are invisible in all sense. So voting for me will be one, supporting a Black woman, which I think is very important, maybe because of my political agenda, but also that we also become more visible and that we also role models for our own children. I'm a mother of two small kids. I'm a mother of a daughter and a son. And, if my mother came into this country, and which I have respect for because it's a lot that they had to undergo in this country and even in this city, and paved the way for me and for other and those after me, or my generation, to be able to come here and have some certain privileges that other people did not have. Then and they are asked, where do you come from? And then I am also asked, where do you come from? And it really doesn't matter how educated or not educated you are, because the only thing that people see is the face. And that's why I always say that it's very important that we do away with all these things that divide us, because they really don't make sense. Because at the end of the day, there's nowhere behind your back or in front of your, of your face is written, I'm from this country, I come from there, I'm educated, I'm not educated. It really doesn't matter. What is seen is an African person in Germany, in a white society. So, and I think that's important that we educate. So by me getting in will also be a way of educating ourselves, not only educating the white society, which we've been doing for years, but I think it's now also time for us ourselves as a Black community, as Black African people living in Cologne, to educate ourselves about our history, to educate ourselves about the colonial history. In Cologne, there's a lot of post-colonial history which nobody knows about. The streets like Iltis Street or Takuplatz, these are all colonial places that nobody talks about. In the Zutstadt, for those ones who live in Cologne, there's a whole history about the Chocolate Museum, which is very much post-colonial. But yet, we are always made to think that we are not part of this city, and that we are always, the ones who came, and we just came recently, and we have got nothing to do with the history of this city. We are here. We have always been here, and we are going to be here because our children are being born in this city. And in a couple of years, as I had said, 5 years, the German society will have to deal with a new generation of Black or African children who will no longer be accepted to be told or to be asked, where do you come from? Because they understand themselves as part of this city, and they understand themselves to be African German. And that's an identity that they have created, and they will create for themselves, which nobody can take away. Just like our mothers came and
Thank you. You're going to come to that again, to the details. We give the chance now to Dr. Akude to tell us, Dr. Akude, why should the people vote you? What would change? Because we have three groups of people. You are going in as a community councillor or city councillor, but the community is there, so it means that for the general community, the German, the white, everybody is there. And then, but you are an African, so we are talking about representative. Who do you want to represent, and how would that be? And how are the Africans going to profit from you being in the parliament? This is your time.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much again. I think before I go straight to answering this question, I just want to add one issue to what Jerry just said, so that I will then not talk about the issue again. And it's about the issue of democracy and what democracy has to do with representation. And a government structure, should reflect the composition of the society. You see, in Cologne, we have about 38% of our population as migrants, or people with a migration background. And but none of them is sitting in the city council. So, and that is so that makes the whole thing, from the perspective of democracy, it put the whole thing into question. And, these are the things we want to correct, and we want to correct these things practically. And, we also want to prove that the possibilities are there. You just have to try to take them. If you don't succeed, it's okay. Let's just try. And by trying, you show the others that it's possible. I mean, the German state or the German political system will not just come into our houses and pull us out to let us take part in politics. It's up to us to see the chances that are created, especially in the laws, and then try to use them to get in, and then use the position of power to influence society, to our advantage, because that is what it's all about. So, and with that, I'm already on your second part on your question. Sorry, especially the second part of the question, where you were asking who will I be representing, and what I'll be doing for Africa. Definitely, I'm a Black man, so definitely I'll be representing Africa, whether I like it or not. Jerry just said it, that when people see us, what they see is the color, and the color is the same. So and that is why we have the opinion that it doesn't even make sense. All this discrimination or quarreling or whatever within us Africans doesn't really make sense. because we are one. And when they deal with us, they don't ask whether you are educated or not, or which country you come from, or which economic class or social class you belong to. They don't ask all those things, So that is one reason, we should unite and fight our cause together. And by the way, something is happening right now in the whole Western world. If I will use this opportunity to say that, and that is that for the first time, I'm seeing a resolve, especially among white people, to fight racism. I've not seen this kind of resolve before, but this is happening before us now, and it's up to us to strategize, to try to see how we can, use this momentum, create a synergy between what is happening within the white society and what we are doing, so that we can overthrow the system that has been holding us down, for ages. So I have a lot of things in mind that we want to do when we get in. As a member of Klimafreunde, one thing we have in mind, one thing that is important to us is transparency. You see, we want to open up a government. We want to give people the opportunity to come in to participate in government. We have the opinion that at least at this community level, everybody with basic education can do that. So we want to, first of all, bring in more transparency in the whole thing by, making open all the processes of governance. With the governance reform of Henrietta Reker here in Cologne, the process has already been started, and we want to, keep pushing it, and we want to expand it, to other parts of city government. Secondly, we want, grassroots democracy. You see, we have ways of taking issues to the society. See, we don't want the situation that has been going on up till now, whereby people elect politicians or elect people into public service, and then you leave them complete free hand, for the rest of the time until 5 years runs out, and then they come back to you again and start asking for your votes. So this time we want everybody to work together. We want a situation whereby whatever is being discussed in politics goes down to the people, and people will have the opportunity to contribute their own ideas and have a way of following the discussion and seeing that their ideas, their contributions play a role in decision making. As I said, we want a broader democracy. We want democratic. We want a government structure that reflects the society. If we have 38% migrants, people with migration background in Cologne, then we expect that around that number of the percent of people sitting in Cologne City Council, should also be people with a migration background. So that is the kind of thing. For example, we know that in Cologne too, you have about 50% women. But I think in the Rathhouses you have about more than 60% men, in the city council. Sorry, so these are the things we want to address. So these are the things that are going to change for the better for the people of Cologne if we get in. And at the beginning, I identified 3 areas I said that are very important. Not just for Cologne, but the whole global politics these days, and that is climate change. That is social segregation, social injustice, and that is discrimination, racial discrimination. So I want us to, I will contribute to see us making progress in these areas in Cologne. We will not make any compromise, with anybody on these issues. Just to say 1 or 2 issues to each and every one of these 3 most important areas. In the area of climate change, we want to contribute to a regreening of Cologne. We want to make life better. We want to clean the air that people breathe here. We want to turn concrete to green. So people will have more place to meet. Secondly, we want to increase social spending, spending in education, in housing, in digitalization, something like that. And these are things that will come, will be good for migrants, Africans that are here, because of the structure of the system that is definitely not in our favor. We unfortunately don't count amongst the richest here. So every increment in social spending should be to our advantage, and we want to increase also our contribute to increasing the opportunity of contact. You see, a part of the reasons we have racism is that there are hardly contacts between the whites and non-white societies, and these are the things we want to increase. And the areas we will gain by turning concrete into green will also be used as areas for intercultural contacts. And I think that my participation in government, Jerry mentioned this fact too, so it will make the Black man more visible, here. We need visibility as one of the weapons against racism, because part of the stories, part of the stereotypes of racism is that, we cannot do this, we cannot do that. So if we are placed in positions where the things we do are visible to everybody, I think that's a very big weapon, to fight racism. To the Black community particularly, and the migrant community, I want to make sure that I want to inspire inclusion, I want to inspire participation, and promote integration through these two systems, inclusion and participation. And that means that if I get into the state city council, I will want to see a situation whereby we reach out to the migrant community. It should be a policy of the city of Cologne to reach out to the migrant community. We will discuss these things with social experts and decide the best ways, the best projects or programs we need to design to do that.
Thank you so very much. I mean, politicians are really, really a challenging group of people to have a conversation with, because they always have a lot to say. And if I'm not very careful, we can have the whole night talking and talking and talking. Very important point, sir. We are coming back after a 30-second break so that you tell us what you expect from your people. Thank you. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You are watching to our business conversation with the politicians in the North Rhine-Westphalia, especially our African politicians. And you are watching your Global Sunpon TV on YouTube, and of course, also the Sunpon Social Service Facebook page. Welcome back, Dr. Akude and Dr. Jerry. We have a question for you. We have a question from Batemona Abeke. Dr. Akude, this question goes to you directly. Concretely, how do you intend to increase contact between white and non-white?
Yeah, thank you very much. You see, I have been thinking of a situation where you should be organizing, like in Cologne, we call quarters of Cologne, we call them a fiddle, and I've been thinking of a situation where you fiddle fests. Most of these fiddles, most of these quarters in Cologne have their festivals, some don't. What I am thinking of is a situation whereby we have a program, supported by the city of Cologne, promoted by the city of Cologne, as part of this fiddle festivals, whereby ethnic Germans and people with a migration background, will meet. That is, there will be kind of shows. I would like a situation whereby, these people in the communities will even start, will have time, some weeks, even months, to practice some plays or practice some songs, just practice something that they need, that they will present together on that day of that fiddle festival, as part of the festival. So training together, practicing together, whatever it is, brings people closer, and having a goal together, a goal of having a good presentation on that day, puts people together, makes people want to cooperate, to present a good picture of themselves, so these are the things I'm thinking about. And there are several other areas, even you could do these promotions through football. You could organize young people in bigger areas, where you could build up teams, and try to use football to promote integration. A lot of people have been doing this, and it will be the duty of the city of Cologne move into these projects and try to beef them up, so the people more support, so that they will get bigger, and even scale it up to areas where such things don't exist. So those are and we can also have discussion rounds. It's always very surprising to see the number of Germans that are very interested in what is happening in Africa. When I move around and discuss with white people, I get surprised. So we could also organize in those quarters, discussion rounds where people with migration background and ethnic Germans will meet to discuss problems that exist in the homes of these migrants, and even the influence of a German society or the Western society, either as part of this problem or as part of the solution. We could get around it. So there are a lot of things that could be done concretely. Right? These are the areas that my minds are going to, and like if I have my support within the council, then we will bring in experts, and then try to make the best out of these plans and fashion out very fruitful programs out of them.
Thank you very much. Dr. Jerry, do you have a few things to add to that, please?
Yes, thank you. So here's again is a question of generational difference. So I am again in another generation where I think we've been having this contact for such a long time between, us, and I specifically speak about the Black community, because other communities have their own way of, talking or whatever they call integrating or with Germans. But specifically for our communities, I think we've been doing that for a very long time. The post-colonial history shows that we have been doing that for such a long time that now it's that now we just say we are tired. We are going to concentrate on our communities. We cannot be teaching white people about their own racism. We are no longer going to be wasting our energy and investing our time and money in not promoting our own causes, not promoting our own people. So, having these festivals is a very good idea, because then, we can meet up and, we can talk. But most of the times what happens in these festivals is that most white people think that we must meet and eat and drink. But we are not allowed to be very political. We're not supposed to be talking about the problems that affect the Black community. For instance, a very good example is now with the pandemic. Who is talking about Black people in the pandemic? Who is talking about Black women who have children here? And I must give a shout out to Carol Watkins, who is asking, what are we, as people, both in Integrationsrat and even me and Dr. John Akude, what are we going to do about the question of Black mothers or Black families with disabilities? These are so many questions that nobody talks about, because we tend to talk about other people's problems, but never really about our own problems. So because of generational differences, I am no longer interested in in having to have all these talks with white people and trying to convince them that we are human. I think that is passe. But I am more interested in bettering our own communities, finding ways to empower ourselves and empower our kids, because our mothers have been doing that, and our mothers and aunties before that were doing the same thing. So now there has to be a generational difference, and that's why I said in the beginning that my generation and maybe the generation after are going to have different topics that they're going to talk about. But for me, I think we've done that enough, and now it's time that we concentrate on our own problems, and concentrating on our own problems is more important.
Thank you so very much. And we are coming to the end of the program already. I want each and every one of you, I'm starting with you, Dr. Jerry, please give us your last word.
Go and vote, because your vote matters. It matters because if you don't, we're going to have people who will make decisions about you and your future and the future of your children, and you not be involved. And since you have the power to go and vote, you should go and vote. Vote for Klima Friendly, because as we said, we are community activists. Everybody is welcome to join Klima Friendly, and we are following the footsteps of those who have been there before us. So it's not like something that is new. It's not something that is so, if I may use the words, white. But we are together as people, living in Cologne. We can make changes, and these changes we are going to be able to make them with Klima Friendly, because we have the space, we have the platform, and especially for Black women, we also have the platform to really talk about our problems and agenda with the Klima Friendly. And vote for Jerry.
Thank you very much. That was very direct and very beautiful. Thank you. Dr. Akude, your last word, please.
By saying that, first of all, I get taken aback whenever you call us politicians, because I think I have to say that we are not we don't see ourselves as politicians. It's very unfortunate that we did not have the time to tell the story of how this Klima Friendly started. But suffice it to say that I still see myself as a political activist. I've been taking political actions on the streets, and that's how the whole thing came about. It was a climate activity on the streets, trying to get the government of Germany to do better climate policy that got me into a membership of Parents for Future, because I was part of this Fridays for Future demonstrations, which Fridays for Future people organize. So from there, we started talking of, people started telling us that we are good at criticizing, but we cannot organize, that we cannot do anything, we cannot, run a government. So we decided at the point to take up this challenge, to prove to them that we could do something. So that is even why we started doing all those things. So it has not really dawned on us, especially on me, that we are now politicians, so that's why I get thinking about wherever you say that, and we don't see ourselves as that. And that's why we're inviting everybody who has interest to come and join us. I want all of us, especially Black people in Germany, to develop political awareness. You see, if you're not politically aware, other people will decide your fate, and you might not be very happy with it. And you have a right to do this. So why don't you do this? Secondly, I'm pleading with people to vote for me, to vote for us. Because we mean well. You see, go to our homepage and look at our programs, and at our visions. We know that there's a problem with politics, and we have analyzed this problem to have two dimensions, the structural dimension and the human dimension. Now we have taken care of the structural dimension, by making sure that whatever we do is we're also taking care of it by sending people of color to the highest government levels, in Cologne. So we want Klima Friendly, are showing that they are there for us, and That is why I think it is good for all of us here, but most especially for the Black community, if you could come out in your large numbers to support us.
Thank you very much. That was a good call, also. And I will say we are coming to the end of our program. We still have some feedbacks from our listeners and viewers. Please, after this, you can just go to the pages, and then you can read some of their questions. If you still want to answer, then you can answer. Ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of our program. Thank you so very much, Dr. John Akude, for the wonderful work you're doing for the community. I'm taking home along with me. Volunteerism is also important when we do it at the local level, the public service. That is what you have been doing. And thank you for your transparency. Thank you for being there. And thank you for supporting the people. Doctor, I wish you all the best. And I hope, and I'm hoping that I'm going to have an interview with you when you are the council, the city councilor. And Dr. Jerry, thank you so very much for being also my guest today. And I'm very happy because I'm also hoping that you become also a city councilor or a Batix councilor, whereby we can now start talking again the history of the African woman and, of course, our history, and really decolonize the whole process and talk about ourselves. Thank you, you both, and hope to see you some other time.
Thank you for having us.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of our program, and of course, it is always a privilege to have you all. It has been a very interactive conversation today, and you have shown your massive interest to your people. I wish you all the best, and as from next week, we're going to have our regular program. We just decided to dedicate this day to our politicians, or again to the people who volunteer for the community and the local government. Thank you so much. Stay tuned next week, same time. And I have been your host, Vera Sampon. Bye bye.